JMath.
Now we can start with grade 12 analytical geometry. Now the big thing in grade 12 is the equation of a circle. So that formula you're going to use, and x and y represents any point on the outside of the circle. So this dot would be x and y, whilst a and b always represent the center of the circle. So now you'll notice there's a minus in front of a and b. So if the circle has a midpoint of, let's say it's 2 and minus 4, then in the equation it would be x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to r squared. So it's always the opposite sign to what the picture says. That's it. If you remember that, then you can figure out the equation of any circle that they give you. Let's practice this a bit. There's two easy ones and then two really tricky ones. The first one, determine the equation of the circle. So like we just said, the format is always x in the first bracket, there's a plus between them, and then y in the second bracket. Now I must first figure out what is that dot in the center of the circle. So it's definitely going to be 3 units to the right, so x is 3, and 2 units up. There we go. And I can see that dotted line going down represents my radius, so the radius is 3. If I fill it in, it must always be the opposite of what you see in the circle. So this is a minus 3, this is a minus 2, and then equals to r squared. So there you must write 9. That's it. That is the answer they want. Let's look at the second one. So if I look at the sketch, I can see the center clearly now, but what's very important now, to find the radius, I need to look at this distance to where it touches the y-axis. So whenever they tell you a circle touches the x or the y-axis, and you know the center, then you can also figure out the radius. So if this circle's center is 1 unit left of the y-axis, it means the radius is 1. So if I fill in the equation of the circle, it would say x plus 1 squared plus y plus 2 in a bracket squared is equal to 1 squared. And that's the answer to that question. Now for the third question, it gets really tricky because I don't even see the center. So that's why I drew in a blue dot. All I know there is that this is A and that is B. Further than that, I don't know anything. But if I look closer, it touches the x-axis. So that means that if my center moved 4 to the left, I can actually say, but A is then minus 4 in this case. So the 8 is not really helping me because it goes through the y-axis. It's not just touching. So that's why I'm not using the 8, but the 4 is very important to this question. So if I write down the formula with the bits that I have already, I can say it is x minus minus 4, so x plus 4 squared, plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared. I don't know what b and r is, but we are now going to algebra to figure this out. The important aspect of a circle is that the radius is the same on any part of the circle. So the orange line is equal to the purple line. And that's what I'm going to use to figure out these answers. So it's going to be a little bit of simultaneous equations. So if I use the orange info that I have, I can say minus 4 is a point on the circle. And remember, it's minus 4 and 0. So I can sub in a minus 4 there. I can make y equal to 0. And that would be my one equation. I'm just going to simplify it a bit and say minus 4 plus 4 gives me a 0. 0 squared is just 0. In the other bracket, 0 minus b squared would just be b squared. And then I can see, okay, but b squared is equal to r squared. Great. That's what I wanted. I wanted a simple equation, and now I can use the other info, the purple info, and then hopefully solve this question. So the other coordinate is 0 and 8, so I can put a 0 in the place of x and an 8 in the place of y. Now if I just simplify this a little bit, I can see this is going to be 16 plus 64 minus 16b plus b squared is equal to r squared. So that would be my second equation that I'm going to use. Now, if you remember simultaneous equation, if that's equation 1 and that's equation 2, I'm not just going to sub in the value I got for equation 1 into equation 2, and therefore I can just say this is actually going to be b squared. Now if I just simplify, I can see the b squareds cancel out. I'm going to move the 16b to the other side, and then I can say 80 divided by 16 will just give me a 5. Perfect. Now I have enough info to write the equation of this circle. So if b is 5, it means the radius is also 5. So the answer to this question would then be x plus 4 squared plus y minus 5 all squared is equal to 5 squared, which I can just write as 25. Okay, so a bit more tricky because I don't see all the info. Let's try another one of these. If you're brave enough, pause the video and try this one on your own, and then let's see if we get to the same answer. So the center of this circle would then be A, and which I don't know, and I know it touches the y-axis, so therefore I can say the y value is minus 10 because the center is just as far below as where it's touching the y-axis. So now I'm going to use the bits of info to just fill in the formula as far as I can, and I can say this is x minus a squared plus y plus 10 squared is equal to r squared. So once again, I need two equations, and then I'm going to use simultaneous to solve this. So my one coordinate is 0 and minus 10, which I'm going to sub in first, and that's how I'm going to get equation 1. To get equation 2, I'm going to say x is minus 8 and y is just 2. Now I can simplify that a little bit and then use simultaneous equations. So 8 times 8 gives me 64, the minuses cancel. That gives me plus 16a plus a squared, and then 12 squared is going to be 144, is equal to r squared. Now, if this is equation 1 and this is equation 2, and I just sub them in, I know that r is just equal to a. Now I can see that the a squares are going to cancel, and then 16a is equal to negative 208, and if I divide that, I get minus 13. And therefore, the equation of this circle is x plus 13 squared plus y plus 10 squared would be equal to, and if a is minus 13, then it means the radius is 13, so that's just 13 squared, which is 169. Okay, guys, so normally this is extremely easy and you just fill in the radius and the center, but these were examples of where they're trying to trick you, so please just focus with them. I don't think it's too difficult if you just practice enough. Let's look at two other ways that they can ask you these questions. So sometimes they don't give you a sketch. Let's look at the first one. Find the equation of a circle that has minus 3, minus 7, and 3 and 1 at the ends of the diameter. Okay, so remember, a diameter of a circle is a line that goes straight through the center of the circle. So the first thing I'm going to do here is find the midpoint between those two dots. So midpoint, always a capital M, and then I can say it's minus 3 plus 3 over 2, and then for the y's, it's minus 7 plus 1 over 2. So therefore, the center of this circle would be minus 3 plus 3 is just 0 over 2, and then the other one, minus 7 plus 1 is minus 6 over 2 gives me negative 3. So now I have the center of that circle, and I can fill in the equation. So I know it's x minus a, which is the center's x value, squared, plus y minus the y value of the center, which is then negative 3. That is still squared, and then r squared. So I can find out r squared by just subbing in any of the two original x and y values that they gave me. And then I can see that r squared is going to be 9 plus 16, which is 25. So to answer their question, the formula for this circle would then just be x minus 0 squared, so I'm just going to say x squared, plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 25. Then the last question, find the equation of a circle that has a center of minus 3 and 5 and goes through the point 0 and minus 2. So I can immediately sub in a and b, so that would just be x minus minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals to r squared. And now I don't know the radius, but if I sub it into x and y, I can then find out what the radius would be. So then x would be 0 plus 3 squared plus, and then y would be minus 2 minus 5 squared equals to r squared. And that is then just 9 plus 7 squared. So 9 plus 49 gives me 58 in this case. Not a very nice radius, but the answer to the question is then x plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 58. So these were examples of questions where you get a sketch, and you must give the center and the radius and the formula. But in the next video, we will look at questions where they give you an extended formula without a sketch, and you must figure out what the center and the radius is. Sounds tricky, but I can promise you with practice, it's not going to be that bad.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
JMath.